Dwayne, I gotta tell you something, okay? This is very un-Tubman-like behavior.
Okay, that's the second time with the Tubmans. I don't know what you mean.
Well, what I mean is I don't think that your great aunt, Harriet, would condone this.
So what kind of person was she, Larry?
Well, she was the kind of person who smuggled slaves from the south to the north and didn't charge them.
You're listening to League Podcast, Curbcast, Season 12, Episode 3. Wait, I gotta get this right. Vertical drop, horizontal tug. I'm Mac Durson.
Play Inferno here.
You know what it is. I left that one. I left that for you, and I was going to see if you were going to take that one, but I didn't want to take it. That seemed presumptuous. But Clay, welcome back. How's it going?
Back. Episode 3 of the last season of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I know.
Here we go. You know what it is.
You know what it is. So we don't normally do this, I guess, but I have a fun little thing from last episode. There was like well, it's just like an added sort of feature. So last week, of course, as you recall, they were looking for a black lawn jockey around the suburbs of Atlanta, right? And they knock on one guy's door to see if they could buy his, and the guy's wearing a MAGA hat. And he tells them, "You're that wingnut that done mess with our elections," or whatever. You know, I'm paraphrasing, but he did call him a wingnut. It was kind of a callback to that episode a couple seasons ago where Larry would wear a MAGA hat to get people to not bother him. Do you remember that storyline, which was amazing? So apparently on Twitter or X, a Republican representative from Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene, wrote a little bit. This is just a clip of her post, that the episode was a glaring reminder of why most Georgians resent Republicans in our state inviting the nasty commies from California, the Hollywood elites, into our state by dishing out Hollywood tax credits. Oh, so she's mad at that they're letting people film in Georgia. I don't think that's what the episode was about, but she said nasty commies. She called LarryDavid a nasty commie.
Think that can we move on from Marjorie Taylor Greene anytime soon?
I know it's awful, but I mean, it just like this was in an article. Jeff Schaefer, the producer, one of the producers of Curb, said he was thrilled that Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't like it. Like he was excited.
Yeah, as am I.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah, I hope they do more shit to make fun of people like her. He's backwards, like lame, stupid Republican senators and stuff.
See, this is why I want to move on. I don't even want to think about
it. All right. I'm sorry. I thought that was funny that it's a show for one thing, right? It's a sitcom. Relax. Don't you have a country to help, or a state, to help run? And here you are getting all mad about what one guy on Curb Your Enthusiasm. Whatever.
I've ignored her for the last couple of years, and I'm going to continue to do so.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Thank you for bringing that tidbit.
I'm sorry.
I appreciate it. But
I didn't know
the less oxygen we give her, the better.
I guess you're right, Victor. I just thought it was funny. I'm glad that she was mad.
I'm glad she's mad too.
Yeah. I hope she's mad all the time.
Yeah, good for her for being mad.
This is how these people, this is like their oxygen. Like, speaking of oxygen, like they just get angry at people, like whatever.
She's a fucking moron.
Yeah, I know. But that's kind of the great thing about this show, though, right? Is that you can, Larry can use it to poke fun at things but not in like a preachy way, just in like a.
That's what I was saying last episode too. It's
right.
There's a lot of anti-Trump stuff, which is also anti-NPT stuff in the show, but it's just presented in a way that Larry just kind of works it in there. You know,
well, yeah, I mean, and as long as it's funny, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to, it's not like him, you know.
And the whole premise is funny. The whole premise of the law, and he was like, wouldn't it be funny if I got arrested for that? That's what's funny.
Yeah, no, exactly. And
he's in a whole season around it.
Yeah, and like everything is in service to the joke, you know, like, so that's how it works. And that's why we like this show.
Why we like it?
Why we like it. So this one, I feel like this is like really setting up like a lot of stuff that will be happening throughout the rest of the season. I think like there's a lot of, this is a great episode, but this is like Curb, you know, like this is what it does. It sets up things like that you will see going forward. So,
well, it's a classic. It almost is like, as much as you're saying that, I think of it almost as a generic, regular, good episode of the show. That's like, he's back at home. We get Lewis. We get Ted Danson. We get Vince Vaughn. You know, like there's something with the golf. It's just like a classic, like all of the elements of when Larry's home, what happens.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely did. This is like a classic. This is a classic Curb. The ones in Atlanta were obviously great, but this is the show.
They're out of the elements.
Best. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so let's just start off because they are in the episode starts off in the airport, returning from Atlanta, and there's a black guy walking through the airport. And he says, "Hey, Larry, you keep fighting for us." And Leon is impressed. He's like, "Oh, my people love you." Something like that. But so then Larry runs into Sienna Miller. She says she saw him on the news, and she appreciates what he's doing. I've never really seen her in any, like, I haven't seen any of her movies, to be honest with you. I'm perfectly honest with you, but she's a pretty lady, that's Sienna Miller. And I think, is she still married to Jude Law? Are they married?
She is not. I was going to tell this after you were explaining what happens with them, but
all right, get into it.
And the reason I was going to wait was because, well, we'll just say there's some flirtation there with Sienna, because she's like, obviously,
I know
when she runs into on Larry and is like, "Oh, thank you, Larry," and whatever, and she's flirting with him and everything.
But she says it's Beshert. I don't know if you know what Beshert is, which I didn't either. I had to look it up. But it's a Yiddish phrase for, you know, like almost like fate or destiny, or, you know, like that kind of thing. So yeah, and Larry's impressed that she used the Yiddish word. It's like,
here's why I wanted to wait until you were gonna describe that scene, because what I think is funny is that obviously Sienna Miller is like way out of Larry's league.
Obviously.
And the age difference is like 40 years or something. It's huge. But the thing is, Sienna Miller is actually dating somebody that's 27 years old. So her flirting with Larry in the show is kind of like a commentary on the age gap that she has with her current boyfriend, which is in the opposite direction.
But I mean, obviously age is not really a factor for her.
Age doesn't matter to her. Yeah.
Actually, I said I've never seen any of her stuff. I don't know if you remember this. She played the Baroness in the G.I. Joe Rise and Go.
Of course I remember this.
Of
course I remember that.
Of course you remember that. I didn't remember that, but yeah. Whatever. Pretty lady, and so, but she does flirt. She gives him that tongue click. You ever like a
little wink.
Yeah, she gets a little like, and she says, "Keep in touch." And then she kind of like trips a little bit because I guess she's so overcome.
Yeah, and I wonder if just like her attractiveness to Larry is just because he's doing something good for the people, like she finds that really open. It turns her on, Wow, look at this guy.
Hey, the way to a lady's heart. So then like the next scene, he is driving with Leon, and he's complaining about Sienna Miller flirting with him, and now he can't do anything because of Irma.
And then he goes, "What a waste."
Yeah, he says, "What a waste." It kind of reminds me. It's slightly different, but you remember the George Costanza, Marissa Tomei episode that happened where like he found out that she liked quirky, funny, bald men or something like that. But he was engaged. But he's like, I gotta, he just wanted to have coffee with Marissa Tomei.
Yeah.
I mean,
hey,
she's a famous, you know what I mean? It's all in the intention, right? Like that was kind of the point of that. Like he's like, I can't have coffee with somebody. And they're like, well, it depends, So Larry's not even entertaining really the notion of going out with Sienna Miller, at least not yet. But
right,
because of Irma, because he's got his calendar that he's gonna check off the days. So anyway, meanwhile, Leon is eating a bagel and he says it's great. And Larry's got one. He says, I don't really want this. So they stop at a red light. And he's like, yeah, when I give it to that guy, there's like a homeless guy there. And Larry's like, yeah, you want this? And the guy starts walking towards the car. And Larry's like, ah!
He said, whoa, stop.
Stop. And he throws it to him because he doesn't want him to come near him,
and he does catch it. But I thought he was like saying like stop because he didn't want him to get hit by a car.
Right.
But he was like, don't get your hobo hands near my car.
I know. And this isn't like a COVID thing or anything. I mean, I don't care. Larry probably didn't want that guy anywhere near him, no matter what, pre-COVID or not. But yeah, I love it. He tossed it to him, and that's good though. Hey, Larry did a good thing. So the next scene, he's back home. We get Irma, and he's doing the Wordle. Do you a Wordle guy?
I'm not a Wordle guy. I'm like pretty bad at playing games or anything like that. I find it to be, I'm gonna sound like a real jerk, but like I find that like I think video games aren't like a very good use of time. So I just kind of like I was like, oh okay, like, and I also say this because I'm not very good at them. So I think that's maybe like my defensive thing. It'd be like, oh, it seems like a waste of time. But so I downloaded it and tried to play it yesterday after this.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. And I had no idea what I was doing. And just like every other video game, I played it for about 25 to 45 seconds and then went and did something else.
I feel like maybe for you or your job, you do a lot of social media, you're on your phone a lot for work and stuff. Maybe like a game on your phone is not the thing. It's not even so much video games or whatever, but you know what I mean? Like maybe for you, it's just not your thing. You spend enough time.
Podcasts and
right, but that's not an active thing. That's like a passive thing. You can put the phone in your pocket, listen to the podcast, and still do something. But Wordle, you're like in it.
Do something else. Like I mean, actually, to be honest, I don't even know how to play. I didn't understand it.
I didn't
understand the joke.
How many? It's like a thing. Like everybody does it. I did it for like a month, maybe like a while ago. It was probably kind of still a lockdown thing, actually, and I was just kind of bored.
You explain Wordle for dummies, like what?
I don't even remember exactly. It's just a word. They give you some letters, or they give you like one letter, I think, and you have to kind of like guess what word it could be, or they might give you like two letters, depending, but it's usually like a five-letter word. Unless you want to play like really hard, you can play like 6-letter words or whatever, But yeah, like they give you, and then you just have to guess, and you have like 5 guesses to get the word. So Irma and Larry are both playing it on their phones, and she just blurts it out. She just says, Luke. And Larry's like, oh, you fucking...
Yeah, because it's like
Leon.
the same.
I can't believe Leon plays Wordle.
The answer is the same for
right.
everybody, right? Okay.
Right. Everybody gets the same, presumably you're all using. There's probably different apps, right? But like this is the one. Like this is probably like the New York Times Wordle or something, right? Like this is probably the one that everybody uses. So I can't believe Leon plays Wordle though. That kind of cracked me up because he says, "You just ruined our day."
Yeah.
And she said, "You wouldn't have gotten it. I had to give you vulva the other day."
He's like, "That's a hell of a car."
It's a very safe car. She's like, "It's not a car." And then she leaves. She's going to her AA meeting. They keep dropping that in there. It's really funny. I guess, I don't know. I'm feeling like by the end of the season, she's probably going to be drinking again, right? I don't know. They keep saying AA. They mentioned it twice in this episode.
Well, I just like how worked up Larry is. I mean, because Leon doesn't really care, but Larry's just, what a terrible thing to do.
Yeah, he's really mad.
This is awful.
I could,
really over it with her.
Yeah,
everything
he really is.
He's really over it, no matter what it was, Wordle or whatever,
So anyway, Leon sits there and he kind of like leans back. He's got his loose shorts on, his like big basketball player shorts. And LD looks over and sees his balls hanging out. He's like, "Oh!"
He's like, swivel back.
Yeah, he's on like a stool. And he says, "Swivel back." Oh, and like, apparently there was some debate between Jeff Schaefer and LarryDavid on how to film this. Like, how do you like? And Larry was the one who said, "No, it has to."
Oh, you did the extra research on this.
I did a little research on this one just a little while ago. While I was waiting, Larry said like it's like the ball sack in your mind or something like that. You know what I mean? You don't have to see anything.
Yeah, it's better if you don't, because
the
way they, you need to imagine it.
But they talk about how gross the test, and apparently Jeff Schaefer and LarryDavid thought about like how gross this thing that's supposed to create life essentially is really disgusting looking, and you want to run away from it. But
well, so remember Step Brothers?
Oh yeah.
There's like a famous ball bag scene in that movie, and it's like, "I'm gonna drag my balls across your drums," and they like, I watched some behind the scenes or something, and they were like, showed like the prop like ball bag that they had him show it, because if you watch the movie, it looks like he really is dragging his balls across the thing, but they make like a prosthetic one, like a fake one.
Right. The Dirk Diggler special, I guess. I mean, Leon talks about how the balls look like the brains, and that's where the expression "thinking with your dick" comes from. Something like that. Larry says, "Sometimes you say something so stupid that it's actually smart."
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're talking. Larry's got to go over and visit the next door neighbor. His name is Dwayne Tubman, because he says his father passed away. So it's always good to, be in good with the neighbors. So Larry goes next door, and everybody is there, and they're all in black and everything. So I guess this is the actual, this must be the actual service.
Kind of like a little memorial.
Yeah, like memorial
thing. And he's like walking in.
He's in his hoodie.
Yeah, but he's also like, he going to people he doesn't know, like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like,
yeah. He's like fakely, like very fake.
Oh yeah, it's so very fake.
Yeah. So he sits down with Dwayne and he says, "I'm sorry about your father." He says, "Oh, well, father-in-law." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's better." And like Dwayne is very sad. He's like, "Well, it's a loss." And he's like, "Yeah, but well, father-in-law." He's like, "Is your father still alive?"
Okay.
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, he is." Like, and he's like, "Thankfully," or something like that, like. He's like, "Well, yeah, He says he kind of compares it like if your dog died or your friend's dog died. And he's like, "A dog died."
Human being, Larry.
I know he's very upset that Larry's not taking this seriously. It's like, Anyway, so he's about to leave. He's like, I get them. He's like, we have a lot of people here because he wants to apologize to his wife. Not apologize, but express sympathy to his wife. He's like, well, we're gonna leave her. Why don't we leave her alone or something like that? Let her. All of like I don't want to say like boilerplate, but all like the typical things that people say, all the typical expressions. And I know both of our, we've had some family losses, and it is kind of just. It's kind of empty, right? The things that people say.
What do you do? But also, like, are you guys good here? Do you want me to bring you some bagels and lox?
Yeah.
Bagels. I think we're good here, Larry.
Yeah. So there you go. But anyway, as he's leaving, Dwayne gets up and says, actually, Larry, there is something we should talk about. There's a lemon tree that is on Dwayne's property, but kind of hangs over the fence into Larry's yard. And he says, oh, the roots are affecting my pipes, and I was wondering if you would want to split the cost. And Larry's like, it's your tree.
But
whatever.
If you talk about the this is something I could talk a lot about actually, because it's the trees. That's part of like what my family does, and also like when somebody dies, they always say, like, if there's anything I could do, anything at all.
Right.
What can I do for you? Anything at all. Anything at all. It's, Dwayne is kind of like, well, you could help me pay for this tree. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, regardless of his father-in-law, I feel like Dwayne would have asked Larry for this.
Oh, he definitely could. But like, when he saw the opening, then he's like, well, what you could do is this.
He did. He saw the opening. You're exactly right. So like
I can acknowledge that it does when he's like, oh, I'm gonna get some estimates and stuff like that. But that's like that's like the light. That's the house that Fernald built. And my brother-in-law, he's a tree guy too. Like that's what they do. They give you an estimate on. We don't have lemon trees around here, but they give you an estimate on how much it's going to cost to take down that tree or take out the branch or grind the stump. And, it's the profitable business. They do well.
Oh, I'm sure. So this guy doesn't want to pay for it, all by himself, even though, I mean, Larry points out the tree is on his property, but it does hang over. So it's it's a little ticky-tacky, as they say, but,
well, anyway, also, he's Larry's the rich guy, right? Like, so wouldn't you ask?
Again, here we are, right?
Guys,
I would, but like, this is LarryDavid we're talking about, right? I mean, he's just because he has the money doesn't mean he wants to spend it on this. He's very principled about it. Anyway, he says, "Yeah, I get the estimate, whatever." So,
but then Larry's like, I could go the rest of my life without touching a lemon.
Right.
Like the rest of your life. He's like, maybe I sometimes put it on a piece of fish. He's like, so you would never have, like, what would you put on your fish then? He goes, a grapefruit. When was the last time you put a grapefruit on your fish? He's like, I haven't.
Never.
But I
thought about it. Yeah, right. Just to avoid putting lemons. You can go to the store and buy lemons,
But also, like, Larry always says stuff like that. Like, I would never, for the rest of my life,
I know.
I would be fine if I didn't do this.
Right. I do not need your lemons. So, all right, at the next scene, we get Vince Vaughn. We get our first Frankie Funkhouser sighting of the season.
Yeah, Frank.
And he's telling him about this. He's telling him about the whole thing. And he's like, the crazy thing is that he's a descendant of Harriet Tubman. So Dwayne Tubman is a descendant of Harriet Tubman. And he says, you'd think his ancestors would be ashamed, which is
yeah.
And then he says, the ironic thing, apparently this is a Vince Vaughn line, completely his line. He said, you're being railroaded.
Yeah, you can kind of tell it was one of those natural curb improvised lines. You know what I mean? I was like, that's so perfect. The irony of this thing is you being railroaded.
You're being railroaded. Yeah, it's kind of just a throw in at the end of the conversation. But yeah. So.
And then Cheryl and Ted come.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. So yeah, it's still because Susie was in Atlanta for her birthday. They bring in this big box, this big wrapped box, and they're like, "Oh, you got to open our gift." And Larry's like, "Well, hey, we brought a gift too." And like, "Oh no, you'll see in a minute why she's got to open this one first."
Yeah, because Larry is all like worked up. Like, wait a second. There were gifts that because in his mind, it's like the gifts were here before you guys showed up here, so we have to open them in order.
Yeah,
really, like, you don't.
No,
but still,
like,
and Larry's not.
I think you're right in this one. He resents that they think that their gift is special. Like, I mean, which it is.
That's
but
true too.
It's not. I mean, in his mind, he doesn't know what it is. But so she opens it, and it's a puppy. It's a cute little puppy. So I mean, that's great. But they're like, oh, they're all like, the baby talk that people do. Hey, I admit it. I do it too. I have a cat. I sometimes get a little baby talk, but yeah.
Meow, 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 meow,
Yeah,
meow,
meow, meow. They lay it on thick for this puppy. And then Larry says, "You got her a Theragun." It's just
well, Irma kind of presents it.
Yeah.
And is like, and Irma's like kind of ashamed at this point. So she's like, "Larry got you this."
Yeah, I feel like when Susie's like, "Oh, nice, put it down there," or she didn't know what it was actually. Susie didn't even know what it was. And she said, "Well, Larry got it." Like she kind of threw Larry under the bus a little bit. As soon as she wasn't thrilled, but yeah. So the Theragun comes back later, of course. It's like Chekhov's.
She just doesn't care. I mean,
Theragun
it could be a diamond ring. If you have a puppy, that's a whole other thing.
I know, but they intentionally made it something completely lame.
Well, hey, am I lame? I got that for Stacy for Christmas 2 years ago.
Oh, nice. I mean, it's different. I mean, Stacy is your partner, and Susie's just, like you probably knew that she has a physical job. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So they're at the table all eating, and Funkhouser's telling a story about his neighbors want to get pregnant, and the guy is unable to, do that. And so they asked him.
Shooting blanks.
Yeah, that's right. They said shoot blanks. So he says, yeah, like he agreed to do it. And it's the best sex he's ever had, having sex with this woman. The husband's totally on board with it. And he thought it would be very clinical or, mechanical. He says, no, man, it's great. It's the best sex I've ever had.
It didn't go this way, but I was wondering if it was going to go in a weird, like, cuckold situation where, like, the guy wanted to watch it or something.
I know. I was wondering that, too.
I was like, oh, where's this going to go? Where's this going to go?
It could.
But it does turn into a funny sex story for Freddy because he's like, I thought, it's going to be all clinical and stuff, but as soon as the lights went out, bang.
Yeah.
We're biting butts, we're biting ears.
And then Irma says, do you give her a climax? And he says, I don't know. I didn't ask. That was because she said, how do you
how would I know?
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. I didn't ask. But he's just trying to tell his story. And then she says, there's a musk. It's just, I love Tracy Ullman. Don't get me wrong. But Irma, it's just so.
She's like, I exude a very thick musk. It's like musk. Larry's like, literally leaning away from her and going,
yeah, he's just like,
kind of like throwing up in his mouth about the musk.
She says it's great for conception. So, yeah, whatever. I mean, like, I don't know if that. I hope Irma's not going to get pregnant or anything. But so anyway, then they hear the dog barking. They go get the dog, and she decided it's Frankie after Frank Sinatra. So here we go. We have a name for the dog. So here's where we get into the golf stuff. This is
Lewis
stuff. Yeah, we got Lewis.
I don't think that there's a lot of episodes with Lewis on this season. I could probably just look it up, but I think that he couldn't really shoot that well because he's not feeling that well.
Yeah,
but I'm glad this is one of the episodes where we get Lewis.
Yeah, we get a little Lewis, but before that, Larry is sitting. There's a bench. It's the driving range of the golf course, and there's actually usually there's benches right behind, so that people can watch you, I guess, whatever, or you could wait for the next available thing, whatever it is. So Larry's sitting on a bench, and Troy Kotsur, Academy Award winner, and hearing impaired.
So am I supposed to know who that is, though?
Yeah, he's a real actor, and he won an Oscar for Coda a couple years ago, or maybe it was last year. I don't even remember. I mean, he's deaf. It's very extraordinary. Like, he's really deaf, and that's really his interpreter in real life. That the guy who was there.
Oh, really?
And he loves.
He kind of looks like a typical like person they would put on. He kind of his interpreter has kind of a comedic like air to him. Yeah, he looks like somebody you would cast in that role on Curb.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like almost like he's in, like he's like a Matt Walsh kind of guy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, he is. Yeah, he's kind of doughy, kind of weird. But no, that is his real interpreter that he uses in real life. So here's the funny thing. So Troy, he's an actor. He's a known actor, and his wife appeared. She is also deaf, and she appeared on an episode back in season 6 of Curb Your Enthusiasm. I don't know if they were married then, but probably I don't know.
They're all friends,
maybe. But yeah, so like husband and wife have both appeared on Curb as guest stars. Larry was trying to figure out signing a little bit, and he was like, he knew hello and goodbye and so. Those are but there was also I don't remember the episode completely, but there was a mishap with a dog. I think like her dog may have died in that episode.
Oh, really?
And so we got a theme here. Completely unintentional, apparently. But yeah. So anyways, Troy is getting a golf lesson, and the instructor is telling him this is where the theme, the title of the episode comes from: vertical drop, horizontal tug. So like vertical drop is a thing in golf swings. I don't know exactly how to do it or whatever, but that's like a thing. But I've never heard of this horizontal tug. But anyway, he keeps looking back at Larry as he's instructing Troy how to do this. And Larry's kind of, his ears perked up a little, and he's kind of watching. And he like, the guy, Jimmy, the instructor, is like, can I help you? Like, if you can get a lesson. And he's like, no, I'm good. He's like,
he's kind of like, Larry's kind of like doing that thing where you're sitting, but you're watching somebody else do it, but you're moving your body like slightly like that. Like,
yeah, he was doing that. And he's like, so, this is a private lesson. And he's like, well, I'm just sitting here. And he's like, that's an aesthetic bench. He tells him it's not for sitting. It's an aesthetic bench. And he's like, there's no such thing as an aesthetic bench. All benches are for sitting. So anyways, and then like Troy hits it kind of shitty. I don't know if that was because Larry was watching or the advice wasn't very good, or he doesn't hit it very well. But anyway, so
how do you know? Isn't the driving range just like hit the ball? It's not like
but I mean the ball only like dribbles in front of him. I thought it didn't go far. You can see, and he kind of look. He gives him like a
maybe
dirty
he was
look.
all screwed up because
I think he was. I think Larry. I think it screwed him up. Yeah. So he gives Larry a dirty look. So then Lewis and Larry are in a cart. They're talking about the Wordle. Lewis is like, hey, I got the Wordle in 3 tries today. And he's like, yeah, you're on a real streak. He's like, meanwhile, I'm on a streak. I'm playing great. And he tells him about the vertical drop, horizontal tug. I think it's great. I sat on that bench and I got a lesson. It's the greatest. And then they talk about like Lewis is like, yeah, you're great. I'm going to put you in my will. All this stuff. Like Lewis and Larry always do this. Like it's this weird competition. And he's like, I don't want to be in your will. It's like, well, you're my best friend. I want you in it. It's like, I think you're doing it because you want me to put you in mine.
Yeah. And he's like, I refuse. He's like, I have plenty of money. I'm just going to give it to charity. Give it to someone else. I don't want it. I don't want it. Then he says something about Sherman.
Right.
He's like, you and your historical references.
Thou shalt not bequeath to me or something, whatever.
Yeah.
So anyways, Jeff comes up and they're like, they're ready to play. Larry's waiting because Troy and Jimmy, the teacher, are on the fairway. Like pretty far away. And Larry's like, oh, I gotta wait for him. And they're like, you're not gonna hit it that far. And he's like, what? So they kind of almost dare him to do it. They almost shame him. Not say, hey, you should do it. Just like, you're not gonna hit him.
Yeah, they're just kind of like, well, this is an embarrassing thing for me. And I might have even shared it. And it's not very nice, but it actually relates to this episode. So I was, and to be clear, I do not condone killing animals for sport or by accident or anything, okay?
Of course.
But here I am in high school, and I used to hang out with this kid, Josh, not big kid Josh,
right?
Not Josh,
but
we used to fuck around. We used to, I didn't hang out with you guys like that much. I had this other group of friends that I used to get in trouble with, doing bad stuff. So like, Josh had a BB gun.
Oh,
no.
Like,
oh, let's, and you know how like you pump it? It's like 10 pumps was the most amount of pumps you could give it.
Yeah.
And he's like, and we're in the cemetery by where my beloved mother is rested now. Like
mine as well.
Yeah, feet away from where our mothers are. I did something that both of our mothers would be very ashamed of. There was a bird in the tree, right? And it's a BB gun. It's not like, it's not accurate. It's not a rifle with a fucking scope on it. You know what I mean? It's like, what are the chances that I would point the gun at the bird and actually hit it, right?
Right.
So 10 pumps in is like, let's give it, like, let's see if we can, fucking shoot at some stuff. There's a bird. And I was like, okay, there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to, that I'm going to hit this bird. Like, I'm shooting it, but kind of as an exercise to prove how you couldn't possibly hit a bird with a BB gun from, 50 or 60 feet away. Like, it's impossible. There's no way this BB gun is going to hit the fucking bird.
Right. And there's no way you have that.
Yeah, I'm not a sharpshooter.
Right. No offense.
You know what I mean?
I mean, right.
I always think about that.
I wouldn't be able to do it either.
Like you watch, I watch a lot of like spy movies and like war movies. And it's like, slow down your breath.
Right.
You're like, somebody's like coaching you, like, and then, don't squeeze the trigger, pull the trigger or whatever, you know what I mean? So here I am, and granted, I'm pretty sure I'm like a kid. I'm like 10 years old. And then I go, psh, and then the fucking bird drops from the tree. I hit it like perfectly.
Oh, God. Oh, my
perfectly.
God. They did that on The Simpsons. Do you remember Bart did the same thing? And he intentionally aimed left. And like Nelson was like, oh, good job. You even compensated for the scope being off or something.
Yeah, like that was kind of, well, I don't remember the Simpsons thing, but I was just like, I'm not even good at, I can't even play Wordle. Like, I'm not good at sports. I'm not good at anything. You know what I mean? Like, physically,
hit this
like
bird.
That. But I was like,
oh my God.
And because I shot it with the intention of, like, it's going to hit the branch or it's going to go flying by the bird, or maybe it'll like do the thing where it's like they call it a rush or whatever, when like the birds like fly away because they're scared. You know what I mean? That's all I thought was going to happen. But I killed this poor bird.
Oh, well, hey, it's sorry. It's the circle of life.
Yeah, but it exactly relates to what happens here. He's like, there's no way you're going to be playing through or like getting or hitting the ball that far, just because it seems like so far, right? It's like a distance thing.
Yeah. I mean, right. Granted, I mean, I know you're not a golfer, and I'm not a golfer, but I've played golf a little. And yeah, like you kind of think like, oh, I mean, that person's really far. like, especially if you're somebody like Larry who plays all the time, you probably know how far.
And he knows he's played that hole before. He plays that course.
Yeah, right.
And it's probably never gone that far.
Right, right. And Lewis and Jeff are kind of like, you'll never hit him. And I feel like almost to prove them wrong, he wanted to try, even though he knows he shouldn't hit a ball at someone.
Well, he's got the vertical drop horizontal tug.
Yeah.
In his favor.
This is the X factor. He hits the ball. It's going really far. And as he says, he can't yell 4 because Troy is deaf and he wouldn't have heard him. But he hits it right in the back. It's like, I don't mean to laugh, but it is. It's really funny.
It is funny. And he doesn't even just get it, much like me and the bird.
Right.
He doesn't just get it on the fairway or like on the green or whatever.
Right. Or near it, or even like next to him. Or
where you would, because that's a common thing in golf too. Well, you're not like supposed to play through and stuff like that. So it'd be like, if the ball like landed next to him, it'd be like, oh, what the fuck? These guys trying to play through? They would be mad. But they wouldn't be. But hitting somebody with the ball is like, why you yell 4 and all that, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. That's what 4. Yeah, because you just want to give people, a heads up.
Yeah,
look around.
Literally heads up.
Literally, yeah. But it's like, yeah. He hit him right in the back. It's perfect. Obviously, Troy, like, according to my research, he's a big golf fan, so this is all fun. But yeah, like and like I love the sound. I know it's terrible, like, well, in the world of Curb, but like he hits him right in the back, and he goes like, "Whoa!" Like it's just
yeah. And he's an
Oscar-winning
actor, right? And
that's true.
The way he falls and everything is so good. He's like, "Ah!"
Like, "Oh!" And so Larry's like, "Oh!" Like he does the freak out Larry, like we talked about, and the Jimmy, the instructor's like, "What the fuck?" And so Larry gets in the cart, drives down to like see if he's okay and everything, and he's like, what did you why didn't you yell? And they're like, well, he wouldn't have heard me. And they said, well, the interpreter would have heard you. He's like, yeah, but you wouldn't have been able to, you weren't close enough. He said, even Superman,
you were in the car.
Yeah. He's like, even Superman would have been able to get there. Which is like a total, I always feel like that's like a Seinfeld sort of reference in a way, because Jerry used to make references to Seinfeld, to Superman all the time and whatever, but I love that. So yeah, and he's like, I'm sorry, I really, and he said, did you use the vertical drop horizontal tug? And he said, yeah, I did. It's like, in a way, I've never hit a ball like that in my life. So he offers to get him Postmates, and the interpreter does his sign language. Did you tell him about the Postmates? And he says, I did it. He's like, all you did was
that's funny,
like,
because
that's the sign for Postmates.
Like, the offer is like that he would send probably a nice restaurant, right? But like,
right?
Why didn't he offer him like $500 or something? Like he's going to send Postmates to his house.
I think it's more of a thought. You're right. He could give him. it's to give him cash would be kind of. But yeah, the interpreter doesn't think, or the instructor doesn't think. He's like, you hit him in the back with a golf ball, and you're gonna get him a Postmates dinner. I don't know what else you would get him. Maybe a Rolex or something. I don't know. But
yeah, I don't know. But to me, even that seems a little cheap on Larry's part.
I guess.
Even if it was a nice restaurant. I guess maybe Larry was saying like, there's so many nice restaurants. So like, picture like a 5-star restaurant.
Yeah, he said there's a lot of nice restaurants on there.
Delivered to your house, like something Larry would eat. Like maybe Larry spends like $500 on like Postmates for him and Leon, like from some fancy place or something. But
yeah, maybe. Leon eats a lot of food, so it's possible. Yeah, I don't know, but it's more like a gesture on Larry's part, because he was, I don't want to downplay. The guy was okay. It's not like he had to go to the hospital or anything like that. Like if he didn't need any medical treatment or anything, but
yeah, he wasn't injured. He's just kind of hurt. Like
right,
bruised, probably his back bruised or something.
Yeah,
can't even see back there anyways.
Right. So anyways, they walk away and Larry's like, hey, where's my ball? And he's like, it's gone, Larry. He's like, what? He's like, you'll have to go back to the tee and hit it again. He's like, I'm not doing that. That's the best, drive I've ever had in my life. And he's yelling because he wants to drop it. Lewis and Jeff are like, no, you can't do that. That's cheating. And they're yelling at each other. And they're talking about what a great day they're having. I love that. They're like, we're having a great day. And they're like, hey, you're not dropping the ball. But here's the big, so
this is the thing that's like,
this is the thing.
I don't know anything about golf, but I didn't know why that was such a big deal that he couldn't just drop the ball there because they all knew what happened.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it depends how much of a stickler you are for the rules, I suppose. I mean, like, but it's just sort of for fun, like it's funner to have them say, no, Larry, you're not, because, to take things away from Larry. If it was like me and John out there, I don't think they'd be like, sure, fine, drop it. Who cares? But meanwhile, while they're fighting, they hear a coyote and then they hear a dog squealing. And this is like,
Jeff's like, my house is right there. So he lives like right there, the course.
Yeah. So they're like, that could be my dog. It could be Frankie. and like, Larry's like, well, if it is, I mean, he's like, they assume that whatever dog was attacked by this coyote is dead. And so, like, first Jeff says, I gotta go. And Larry's like, well, what are you gonna do? Like, it's either a neighbor's dog or your dog is dead.
So what are you gonna do? Give it. Maybe he says that later, like to Susie, but give it mouth to mouth. What can you do? The coyote rips the thing to shreds.
Yeah. And so, like, there's nothing you could do anyway, I think is what he says. Dog's already been eaten. Jeff goes, you're right. And so they decide to finish because, like, yeah, we're having a nice day. Meanwhile, he's like, I'm dropping the ball. You're not going to drop the ball. You're a cheater. I love how they just yell at each other. Anyway, they get home and Frankie is alive. So,
and Jeff and Larry are relieved. They're like, oh, thank God Frankie's okay. And they're like, kind of want to play with the dog. And they're like, oh, you're okay. And they're all smiles and they think that telling Susie this story is going to benefit them. They're like, we thought, because they're like, here's a funny story because they don't really care. Like, here's a funny, we thought there was a coyote, and then we were like thinking like maybe it was our dog, but then we thought it was maybe the neighbor's dog, but then we're just glad that Frankie's okay. Frankie's okay, right?
Why did they tell her this story? Because she's like, you thought it might have been him and you kept on playing. She calls them pieces of shit and everything, of course. And she tells Larry never to play. It's like, what if it was me? And he's like, well, I'd give you a little more consideration. But he would probably still play through, he said. Depending how well he was playing.
Yeah. And then she's like, you don't touch my dog. You don't look at this dog. You don't talk to my dog. And Larry's just like, that's not a punishment. I don't care about your dog at all. That's fine with me. It's not a punishment.
It's not a punishment. Oh, man. So,
and then he says that there's not even a person that if they died, he would leave the golf course for. And then he's like, so he's mad at Susie, so he kind of takes it out on Jeff. So he's like, and not even you, when he points at Jeff.
Yeah. Jeff's like,
and Jeff's kind of like, come on. Yeah. And Larry's like, well, depending on how I'm playing that.
Yeah, it depends how well I'm playing. Sorry, we go back. That was a great scene. We had Susie being Susie and Larry being Larry.
Like, Susie's just like kicking Larry out of the house. Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.
It's always the best. I mean, I try to imagine that, like, if I was over visiting you guys and I'm like, Rachel, like, Clay, get the fuck out of here. Just get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
And then
I would be like, all right.
Come back, like, continuously. That's the thing that I don't like.
Yeah, right. I would be back the next day.
Yeah, just show up the next day and everything's fine. Anyway, so Dwayne comes to Larry's house to talk about the lemon tree. He's got the estimate. And I like Larry's like, how you doing? Have you had a laugh? He's like, well, the last 48 hours, I haven't really had a laugh. He's like, oh, well, maybe they would help or whatever, after a loss. So and then he gives them the estimate. The tree is going to cost $2,700 to, that's the estimate from the tree guy. Your family, I don't know, I guess you're right. They do pretty well. $2,700 for this lemon tree.
Yeah, I think, well, I think that it's about right for, I think that you have to include like kind of like a California Hollywood tax. Like it's probably, my brother-in-law is probably not going to charge that till if he had to do it at your dad's house.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But,
no, of course.
But what he's saying is that like he has to get the wood chipper to get the stump out. And,
the stump.
Or the stump grinder. And they have to take the tree down. It's like a day's worth of labor for like 2 guys. And then they have to grind the stump, which they do have to rent. If they don't already own one, they have to rent one of these stump things. So that's like an extra $500 just anyways, just for the equipment.
Sure.
So yeah, it sounds about right to me.
I'm sure that's about right. But sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, just if I'm any kind of an expert on this, sounds about
good.
Right.
I like it. I like that. Larry's thing is though that he only eats a couple of lemons a month when they fall off the tree, because his thing was kind of like, what am I gonna do? Throw them back over the fence? Like, so he's like, for a couple of lemons a month, you want me to pay for half of this? I mean, I don't know tree etiquette, but yeah, I mean that seems.
Oh well, I could address this for sure. This is 100% not Larry's problem at all. It's not his tree. In like a place like Massachusetts or New England, where we're very territorial, good neighbors make good fences. Like if the tree is on your property and, maybe there's some discussion about if a branch from your tree is going over somebody's driveway and it falls and there's an insurance person involved or something, maybe that's a different discussion. But in this instance, this is absolutely not Larry's. I'm on Larry's side on this one. It's not his responsibility at all. Let alone if Larry eats the lemons or not, it doesn't matter. Like that's not his tree. It's not his property line.
Yeah. So I think, as he points out, this is very un-Tubman-like behavior. I don't think
un-Tubman-like.
This is un-Tubman-like behavior. And like he's like, that's the second time you.
Second time you brought up the Tubman.
Does he not know who Harriet Tubman was? He's like, Harriet would have given me a basket of lemons.
He does know, but I think Larry, he finds it weird that Larry keeps bringing it up. It's like no one probably ever says anything about it. You know what I mean?
It is kind of weird to bring it up in this situation, but I mean, I guess if I was Larry, I'd be kind of like, wow, I got a neighbor who's related to Harriet Tubman. But he says like she would have, she freed all those slaves and didn't charge them. Is what she said. So he's basically getting charged for a couple of lemons, is what he's saying.
And then he says like, your great aunt Harriet, she would come to me with a basket of lemons and say, hey, Larry, do you want some lemons?
Right.
And he would say, no, it's okay. I don't need any of your lemons. Thanks for the offer. But, I just get them on my side of the tree. But thank you. That's what she would have done. And then Dwayne's like, thank you for the lesson on my heritage.
Yeah, right. So Leon comes in, and Leon and Dwayne I guess we never pointed out Dwayne is he's obviously black, but they give this nod. It's like the black man's nod, I guess.
He says, hey, brother.
Yeah, hey, brother. He's like, you guys do, I don't give a Jew nod. He said, yeah, you got a whole song. Hey, Jude. It's like, no, that's Jude, Jude. Whether he said, hey, Jew. Anyway, so Leon sits down on the arm of the couch across from Dwayne, and he spreads his legs all akimbo, and he's wearing his shorts, and Dwayne can see his shorts. Up his shorts. And meanwhile, Larry's just talking about being neighborly and neighborly things, and Dwayne just keeps looking over.
Talking about the tree and stuff.
Yeah.
And then,
And then
I don't think I should pay for half of this.
Yeah. And then finally Dwayne just says, all right, fine. you don't have to pay anything. And he just gets up. He takes the piece of paper out of his hand. I love it. And walks out. He's like, nope, you're fine. And Larry like can't figure it out. And then he sits and he looks over and he's like, oh, and he figures out that, Leon's balls. He says, your balls just saved me $1,350. He saw his balls. He says, you're withered. This is my favorite line of the whole show. Your withered, leathered grotesqueries. And he says, my balls say you're welcome. That's what he says. Thank you. And he points to like his dick. So the next thing, he's telling the story to the guys at the club. See you at the club. And he's telling the story, and they're all laughing about it. And then so Funkhouser's there, and he says he can't make it because he has a mattress emergency, so he can't have sex with his neighbor. Does anybody else want to sub in for him? And he's like,
I think we talked about this, how we basically think that it's the that he's like the same character that he plays in Old School that was like in charge of like he was like at a Stereo City or something.
Right.
But in this, he's like a mattress. It's like the same. He's like a salesman for mattresses. He has a mattress emergency.
Yeah, the Funko-matic. They even mentioned it, the Funko-matic. It's like the Bobopedic around here. I don't know if anybody's listening to those, the Bob's Discount Furniture Bobopedic. But Curb has the Funko-matic. So Leon volunteers, and he says, he's like, all right, let me send her a video. And this is what we were talking about earlier. He starts recording Leon. He's like, I'm Leon Black. You know what it is. And then like,
I'm getting ready to tap that ass.
Yeah, I'm going to get ready to tap, because he showed her a picture, and she's very cute. It's what is her name? She was on an episode of Ghosts, which I never. You watch that, right? Do you watch Ghosts?
You watch Ghosts?
Okay.
This new season is up.
Oh, very well.
I wish I had a podcast about that show.
No.
It's so fun.
It's Hannah Rose May is the name of the actress who plays the neighbor.
She's very cute.
Yeah, she's very cute. She's been on Ballers. She was, she's been on a lot of TV. But anyway, so yeah, she's into him. She writes back like right away. She's ready to go.
He's like, I get ready to tap that ass. And then he's like, and if you get pregnant, that's a bonus.
Yeah, right. That's the whole point of the thing. Anyway, so Mr. Takahashi comes over to the table, and he's heard about what happened with Troy, and he tells Larry one more mistake and he's out. And he says, you hit Oscar winner or something like that.
And he's like, I waved. He's like, waving is for saying hello or goodbye, and I'm gonna hit you with the golf ball. And then why did you steal a lesson from Jimmy?
Yeah, he said, I did. I was just sitting there. So and then this so desuka, so deska, I think is how it's pronounced. Like, it's not how it's spelled. I actually did a closed caption just so I could see it. It's like so deska, and like they start, which means like stinky. He says. And then they all
not the so deska. That's not what that means.
Oh, okay. What does that mean?
He does a thing for stinky, which is, I have the caption. It's coming. Kusai. It's kusai.
Oh, okay.
Kusai means stinky.
Oh, okay.
And then they do the so deska.
They all kind of like
deska, which means like really. That's what that means.
All the guys at the table is just so deska, and they like cheers their glasses. Yeah, and then he comes back. Mr. Takahashi comes back, and he goes like, "What?" And like nothing. And he goes,
Takahashi-san.
Yeah, he goes Baka, and then they go Baka. So Larry and Lewis drive by the bench that he was sitting on. And it now has like a sign and a rope across it.
Yeah, they roped it off.
Yeah, only like no seating during lessons or something like that. And Larry says, I got roped. So it's kind of like he got railroaded. Now he got roped.
Sitting prohibited during lessons.
Yeah. So him and Lewis they're driving around. They're still fighting about the will. They're fighting about the Wordle. He says, I'm going to give away Wordle every time. He says, sugar. And he's like, he's like, I got a friend in Israel. I'm going to get it from him. Like, it's so funny. All they do is fight.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm starting to pick up what's going on here. You're going to put me in your will so I can put you in my will. It's bullshit.
Yeah. Because he makes more money. He's like, it should be based on percentages.
That's right. Yeah.
Anyway, so this is the second episode in a row. Now Larry goes into a stall, sits down, he shuts the door, sits down. And you can
There's
see,
a lot of bathroom.
Yeah, a lot
There's
of
always
bathroom
a lot
stuff.
of bathroom
Like I said, I always thought Larry was the kind of guy who would only use his home base, but
yeah.
But
you got to picture I think that, my personal feelings aside, as far as the club is concerned, I think you're dealing with a WeWork style level of cleanliness in the club bathroom, if not better.
All right. Very. And hey, emergency, when you got to go, you got to go. So he's in the, it's like a locker room or whatever, basically, I think. And he's in the stall. And the instructor, Jimmy, comes back and he's talking to another guy. And the guy's like, I just can't hit well, and blah, blah, blah. And he says, you got to release the head. Because, everybody says, keep your eye on the ball. It's the big thing in golf. And he's saying, no. You got to release the head. Then he looks and he sees Larry is kind of looking out the door a little bit, kind of like sneak. He's like, yeah. He's like, now you owe me for 2 lessons. And he's like, oh, stop it. I was just I'm just going to the bathroom. And he says, who doesn't look at the ball, you fucking idiot?
A lesson in the bathroom.
Right. It's not really a lesson. It's not, he's just telling this guy.
He says, you're creeping and peeping.
Yeah, he does. He says, you're creeping and peeping. But then he says, who doesn't look at the ball, you fucking idiot? Which was a great line. So
he's like, I'm going to tell Mr. Takahashi. He's like, go ahead and tell him. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, he's really mad. So the next scene, Larry goes, he's got to use the Theragun, as we pointed out. He's hurt his groin. So he goes into Susie's house, and Ted and Cheryl are there. They're playing with the dog. The dog's got a fur coat that Susie had custom made, apparently. And then Susie's talking about how cute the poops are. She says he's really smart. And Larry's like, oh, yeah, he's a regular Einstein. But meanwhile, so the Theragun is exactly where he left it. I thought that was funny. She's like, yeah, it's right there where you left it. So he takes it out and he starts using it on his groin. And he's like, oh, this is really good. Yeah, this is nice. And they're like, what are you doing? Can you do that somewhere in private? And he's like, what? I got my pants on. It's really funny. And he offers it to Ted and whatever. He's like, an old man like you.
And he's like, do you want to try this? He's like, you just rub that on your balls.
Yeah. He's like, no thanks. So then Ted says, by the way, I heard about you and the Coyotes and Frankie. And he's like, I think you're just jealous of the gift. And you give her your stupid thigh jackhammer. I love that he called it a thigh jackhammer. And he also brings up Atlanta. Ted, he brings up Atlanta. And he's like, if that was him, I would use it to benefit mankind. You're just using it to, become famous or whatever, or more famous. And Larry, Cheryl says, Ted is very authentic. And he says, I'm authentic. I care about myself. It takes authenticity to care about yourself. The logic there is actually, if he is authentic, he doesn't make any bones about it. He is very authentic. He's right on that one. And then he just yells out the Wordle. It's sugar. He just goes, sugar. And Ted says, oh, I got it in 2. And he's like, you don't get anything in 2. You never got anything in 2. So Susie says, take it.
Susie's get all pissed because you gave away today's Wordle, you piece of shit. Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here. Take your stupid present and get out. So she tells him to take the Theragun and go. It's like, oh, where's the charger? She's like, get out of here. He's like,
Then he
"One
goes,
day-"
let me say goodbye to your stupid dog.
Yeah.
He's like, get out of here.
He says, one day you're going to be hurt and you're going to need this. And they're like, get the fuck out of here. All right. So next scene, Larry is at a red light and he's got a bagel again. I don't know why he keeps buying these bagels that he doesn't want. He rolls down the window. There's a different homeless guy sitting there. He's like, hey, you want this? And the guy starts getting up. He's like, oh, and he's going to throw it to him. And he happens to hit Troy Kotsur walking by with the bagel.
Yeah.
And Larry goes, like, sort of meekly goes, 4. And he does, like, the 4 fingers, like, sign language.
Yeah. Sorry.
And then he goes, 1. He gives him a little sign language that he definitely knows, and it's the middle finger.
Yeah, number 1.
Yeah. And he throws the bagel back at him, which was really funny. All right, so Larry and Irma are watching some TV. He's flipping around the channels. He stops because he sees a Sienna Miller movie. And meanwhile, Irma is there complaining about her hammer toe and everything. And Larry's like, I just want to watch this. And she's like,
just for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes.
I want to watch a documentary on whatever, you know. And he's just grossed out. And again, it's just a waste. But it is. I mean,
because Sienna Miller's on the TV and Irma's there with like this big contraption on her foot. Like, help me put this on.
Yeah, she says, can you
wear
put that
my
on?
callus?
Yeah, she's like, you got to shave my corns or something or whatever. Anyway, then the neighbors come. The Harringtons, I guess their name is, but because they want to meet Leon face to face. And they're like, oh, we want to expand our family because we have a little one. We have a dog, Maybelle. And they're like, yeah, she's like a person. They're like, no, he's not a person. Not like that. And Leon is like, that dog, not like a person. And Larry says, you should stop talking if you want to fuck this woman. And he says, I'm the dick salesman. I'm the one. Like, they have to impress me or whatever.
Let me sell this dick.
Yeah, let me sell my dick. And he tells them his sperm is very strong and their baby could come out with a mustache and bad credit. So anyways, they're saying goodbye to them out front, and Larry gets a text from saying Mr. Takahashi wants to see him in his office. And he's like, oh, shit. I'm going to get thrown out. But they see Dwayne on the street, and he happens to be walking his dog, of course. And Dwayne doesn't nod his head at Leon. Larry knows why. Because it's the balls.
Yep.
So he goes to the meeting with Takahashi, and he wears shorts. He wears like loose, basketball shorts.
He's wearing like Leon shorts, I think.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And he like puts his legs up on the desk. He's talking about this dream he had about like whatever. And Takahashi just can't take his eyes off him, and he's going, oh. He finally just says, get out. Like he just says, leave now. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
And he goes, Baka.
Yeah, I hear you're no longer the funny guy.
Yeah,
you're the cheap and violent guy.
But the balls did it. He's still in the club.
Yep. Yeah, he
So
kind of was like dismissed him of his charges.
Yeah, because he just wanted him out of there. So all right, at the final scene at night, Leon and Lydia, her name is, are having sex. She's into it, just like Funkhouser said. And then they hear a coyote again. Yeah. They hear the coyote. And she's like, and they also hear a dog squealing again, just like they did earlier. And she's like, is that Maybelle? And Leon says, I didn't hear shit. And he just goes right back down. So we'll have to see where that goes. Is Leon going to have a kid with this woman? Like,
well, it wouldn't be his kid.
No. I mean, biologically, I guess it would be, but he wouldn't raise it, right? But
yeah,
I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
Well, also she's gotten. Well, I guess it's been a month since Funkhouser had sex with her when she was ovulating before. So I guess if the baby comes out black, we would know if it was from Leon.
Right. Well,
it's not like it could be Funkhouser's baby if she has a baby next month.
Right. You're right. We'll have to see. We'll have to see if like she gets pregnant or whatever in the next.
Or if she's fucking a bunch of other guys too.
Yeah, that's probably true. I guess we don't know.
I guess we don't know. Like, Leon could leave that day. She could be ovulating the next day, and the neighbors and/or Funkhouser could have, gotten another batch in there. You know what I mean?
Another batch.
There was not another way I could have said that.
No, that's good.
It kind of came out, but you know what I mean.
Oh, I know what you mean. It's perfect. Yeah, so we'll have to see where that goes, and we'll have to see where the rest of the season goes. Like I said, I think they set up a lot of stuff here. I think the trial will be like the main running storyline, but there are all these other little ones too. And
so what are the other ones here? Okay, so I just want to lay it out. We've got possibly baby.
Possibly.
I mean, do you think that the dog? I don't think the dog is like really I think it's kind of a throwaway. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a major plot line. But I mean, somehow are they going to wrap up Irma?
Well, they'll have to wrap up Irma because,
right?
I think that they even teased that Larry and Sienna Miller start dating.
Oh, really? Oh my God.
Yeah. Or that he starts dating. I heard like in an interview, like he dates somebody a lot younger than him. So,
oh, okay. Well, this says
go ahead.
The next episode the title is Disgruntled. This is according to IMDb. Oh no, wait, this is episode 4. Larry finds himself in Takahashi's crosshairs after a note is found in the men's locker room. Tensions mount when Larry and Irma's couples counselor crosses a professional line. Oh, so they're in couples counseling. All right, that should be good for some laughs.
Yeah.
So
Takahashi-san.
More Takahashi. Baka. So we'll
we got the club. I mean, he's a little bit screwed if he's.
Well, he's always
life is around the club,
and he's always in Takahashi's crosshairs. So I don't know if that's like anything new, but I mean, remember when he killed the black swan, right?
Oh yeah.
That was another one where they finished playing. After he killed the swan, I think they kept playing. And do you remember? I meant to bring this up earlier. I kind of forgot. Do you remember Kevin Nealon? I think was it his somebody, some relative of his, had to go to the hospital, and they were playing poker at his house, and they kept playing, even though Kevin Nealon had to leave, and they were like, "Well, we ordered pizza. It would have been rude to not have somebody here." And they just kept playing poker. Oh man, some classic.
Yeah, Larry's he's got his priorities in line.
Exactly. Well,
he's like, why would I want to ruin a perfectly nice day?
Yeah, I mean, there is authenticity, like he said. I think he's right about that. There is some authenticity. You know what you're getting with Larry. This is it. He's got his ways.
And even like the grief stuff, like when all the stuff he's saying to Dwayne about like, well, it wasn't your death.
I mean,
I guess it's very insensitive, but it is kind of true.
I mean, it's how Larry looks at it. You know what I mean? And obviously not everyone agrees, but right. Yeah. I mean, he's like, oh, well, that's not bad. You know what I mean? It's still a loss, like the guy says, but he's talking to the person he's talking to right now. You know what I mean? Has not lost his father. So if he was talking to his wife,
Yeah,
different.
He's
Yeah.
like, my sympathies don't run as deep as other people's. It's like, yeah, I'm picking that up.
Yeah, I'm picking that up.
Oh, and then that whole thing is funny too, because he's like, it's like when people say I'm sorry or I love you, like they don't really mean it. And it's like people don't mean it when they say I love you.
Sorry, he's like, yeah, like, what are you talking? He's like, no, they don't mean it. Like,
it's something you say.
Yeah, he just blows. He's like, no, they don't mean it. Like, I love. It's just, they don't mean it. That's that's a great thing about Larry. You know, this is it. This is who he is. So, all right, yeah, excited to see where it goes. Thanks for listening, everybody. Clay, we'll be back next week. Another Curbcast. So I mean, I can't believe we're already episode 3. This is the last season. Oh man, what are we gonna do?
We're gonna go do well, maybe. There's plenty of episodes we haven't covered.
Right. We'll figure it out. But
you know what it is.
You know what it is. Thanks for listening. You know what it is. See you later.
At the club.
See you at the club.
Those withered, leathered grotesqueries just saved me $1,350. He lost his mind. He left. I don't have to pay anything.
That's fucked up. All black boys are like this.
Thank you. And thank you.
Yeah, my boss said you're welcome.